The Empire had ruled the galaxy for 12,000 years. Their power was absolute. Their fleets were countless. No species in known space dared to challenge them. They had conquered tens of thousands of worlds and enslaved hundreds of species. They believed they were the masters of everything that existed among the stars. For 3,000 years, no one had opposed them. The last species that tried was now extinct. Their planet was turned to dust as a warning to others. They kept a piece of that dead world in their council chamber. It reminded everyone what happened to those who resisted. On this day, everything was about to change. The trading station called Nexus 7 floated at the edge of space. It was a busy place where merchants from many worlds came to buy and sell goods. Warships patrolled the area constantly. Nothing happened here without their knowledge. Nothing moved without their permission. Station Commander sat in his control room watching the screens with bored eyes. He had held this position for 30 years. Nothing interesting ever happened at Nexus 7. Ships came. Ships left. Reports were filed. Days passed slowly. Then something appeared on his sensors. Leaned forward in his chair. A ship had emerged from uncharted space. This was unusual. No registered trade routes existed in that direction. His instruments tried to identify the vessel, but the computer returned no results. The ship was small. It measured only 400 meters long. Compared to warships that stretched for kilometers, it was tiny. The design was strange. The hull was angular and dark. No markings were visible on its surface. No identification signals came from it. Contacted the Third Fleet immediately. Admiral received the report on his flagship. He was an old warrior who had commanded fleets for over 2 centuries. He had seen many things in his long life. Unknown ships were not uncommon. The galaxy was vast, and new species were discovered every few decades. They were usually primitive. They were usually easy to conquer. He ordered 3 cruisers to intercept the unknown vessel. The cruisers moved quickly through space. Each one was armed with weapons that could destroy cities. Each one carried hundreds of soldiers ready for boarding action. They had done this many times before. The procedure was simple. Demand identification. Escort the vessel to processing. Catalog the new species. Decide if they were useful as slaves or too dangerous to exist. The lead cruiser opened communication channels. The captain demanded that the unknown ship identify itself and prepare for inspection. Standard protocol. Standard words spoken thousands of times to thousands of ships. There was no response. The captain repeated his demands. Still nothing. He ordered his weapons officers to target the small vessel. A warning shot would make them understand their situation. Before he could give the order to fire, his ship exploded. On the bridge of the mysterious vessel, Captain watched the first cruiser break apart. Fire bloomed in the vacuum of space, then died quickly without air to feed it. Debris scattered in all directions. He was a tall man with calm eyes and steady hands. He had trained his entire life for this moment. Behind him stood a crew of 47 humans. They worked their stations with focused efficiency. His first officer reported from her tactical console. Her voice was flat and professional. She had been in the military for 15 years. Nothing surprised her anymore. First target destroyed, engaging second and third. The ship they commanded was called the Hammer of Dawn. It was humanity's first deep space reconnaissance vessel. It was also humanity's first warship designed for combat against alien threats. The weapons it carried were unlike anything the galaxy had seen. 2 more beams of light shot from the Hammer of Dawn. They moved faster than the eye could follow. The second cruiser tried to raise its shields, but the beam passed through them like they did not exist. The ship's reactor exploded, breaking the vessel in half. The third cruiser tried to run. Its captain had seen enough. Whatever this small ship was, it was not what it appeared to be. He screamed at his crew to jump to faster-than-light speed. They needed to escape. They needed to warn the fleet. They never got the chance. The hammer of dawn fired again. The beam struck the cruiser's engines. The entire back section of the ship disappeared in a ball of expanding plasma. What remained drifted silently, a dead hulk filled with dead soldiers. Checked her instruments. 3 ships destroyed. No survivors detected. Total engagement time 47 seconds. Nodded slowly. His face showed no joy in the victory. He felt no pleasure in killing, but he understood what this moment meant. Humanity had announced its presence to the galaxy. There was no turning back now. "Open all communication frequencies," he ordered. "Broadcast to Nexus 7 and every ship in the sector." The communications officer, a young man named, activated the transmission systems. His fingers moved quickly across his console. "Channels open, Captain." Stepped forward. He spoke clearly, his words traveling across space to every receiver that could hear them. "This is Captain of the Earth vessel Hammer of Dawn. We are humans from the planet Earth. We came to this region in peace. We intended no conflict. Your ships fired upon us without provocation. We defended ourselves. Let this serve as a message to all who hear it. Humanity asks for nothing but respect. We will trade with those who wish to trade. We will be friends to those who offer friendship. But we will destroy anyone who attacks us. This is not a threat. It is a promise." He signaled to end the transmission. Looked at him with something that might have been concern. "They will not accept this. They have never been challenged. They will come for us with everything they have." Turned to face her. "I know, that is exactly what we want." Across the sector, on stations and ships and worlds, beings of many species heard the message. Some laughed at the arrogance. Some trembled at what it might mean. But all of them remembered one thing. A new species had arrived. They called themselves humans, and they had destroyed 3 cruisers in less than a minute. At the capital world, the High Council received the news within hours. They gathered in their ancient chamber, surrounded by treasures stolen from 1,000 conquered civilizations. The peace of the dead world sat in its place of honor, a reminder of power. But for the first time in 3,000 years, the council members felt something they did not recognize. They felt afraid. Intelligence Director stood before them with his report. His hands were shaking. In all his years of service, he had never delivered news like this. "The species calls itself human," he began, "and we made a terrible mistake 4,000 years ago." The war for the galaxy had begun. The High Council chamber fell silent after spoke. The 12 most powerful beings in the Empire sat frozen in their seats. For a long moment, no one moved. No one breathed. Counselor was the first to speak. He was the oldest member of the council. He had seen empires rise and fall. He had ordered the destruction of entire species without a second thought. "Explain yourself, Director. What mistake?" Activated a holographic display. Images filled the air above the council table. Star maps, planetary surveys, ancient records that had been buried in archives for 4,000 years ago. One of our survey vessels was exploring an unremarkable region of space. The system contained a small yellow star and several planets. One of those planets showed signs of primitive life. The survey team noted the existence of a developing species, but classified them as non-viable for contact or conquest. He pulled up an image of a blue and green world. It looked peaceful, harmless. "This planet is called Earth by its inhabitants. The species living there were humans. At the time of our survey, they had not yet developed basic metallurgy. They lived in small tribes. They fought each other with wooden weapons. Our team estimated it would take them at least 50,000 years to achieve if they survived that long." Counselor leaned forward. "Then how are they here now? How did they destroy our ships?" His face grew pale. "Because we gave them everything they needed." The holographic display changed. It showed a damaged survey vessel crashing through an atmosphere. The ship struck a mountain range and broke apart on impact. The survey vessel experienced a critical malfunction while leaving the system. It crashed on Earth. Our records show that a rescue mission was dispatched, but they found only debris. They assumed the ship was completely destroyed and all technology was lost. Paused. They were wrong. The display showed primitive humans approaching the crash site. They carried spears and torches. Their faces showed fear and wonder. The humans found the wreckage. They found our technology. They did not destroy it or worship it as some primitive species do. They studied it. They took it apart piece by piece. They spent generations trying to understand what they had found. Counselor's hands gripped the arms of his chair. This is impossible. A primitive species cannot reverse engineer our technology. It would take them thousands of years just to understand the basic principles. It did take them thousands of years, replied quietly, and they succeeded. The display showed a timeline. Human progress accelerated dramatically after the crash. Within 500 years, they had developed metal tools. Within 1,000 years, they had basic machinery. Within 2,000 years, they had electricity and computing. Within 3,000 years, they had nuclear power and space travel. They did not just copy our technology, continued. They improved it. They found weaknesses in our designs that we never knew existed. They created solutions we never imagined. And they did all of this in secret, hiding from our observation networks. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Members shouted at each other. Some demanded immediate military action. Others called for more information. Fear and anger filled the room like poison gas. While the council argued, Captain stood on the bridge of the Hammer of Dawn. The ship had moved to a safe distance from Nexus 7. They waited in the darkness between stars, watching and listening. Approached him with a communication tablet. Message from Earth Command, Captain. Admiral wants to speak with you directly. Took the tablet and activated the secure channel. The face of Admiral appeared on the screen. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had spent his entire career preparing for this day. Captain, your mission was reconnaissance only. You were supposed to observe and report, not start a war. With respect, Admiral, I did not start anything. They fired first. We defended ourselves. Rubbed his forehead. I understand, but the situation is now extremely dangerous. Our intelligence suggests they are mobilizing the 2nd and 7th fleets. That is over 10,000 ships, Captain. They are coming for you. Showed no fear. Then I suggest you send reinforcements, Admiral. We cannot retreat now. If we run, they will see us as weak. They will hunt us across the galaxy. Our only option is to show strength. Was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was heavy with the weight of decision. The Council has been informed. Fleet Admiral has been given authorization to deploy. Our ships will reach your position in 18 hours. He paused. Hold your ground, Captain. Help is coming. The transmission ended. Stood beside, looking out at the stars. Do you think we can win this, against the entire Empire? Considered the question carefully. He thought about Earth. He thought about the billions of humans who had worked in secret for centuries, building ships, developing weapons, training soldiers, all for this moment. They have ruled the galaxy for 12,000 years, he said slowly. They have never faced a real challenge. They have grown comfortable. They believe their power is absolute and eternal. He turned to face his first officer. They are about to learn that nothing is eternal. Back on the capital world, Intelligence Director continued his briefing. He had saved the worst news for last. There is more you need to know about these humans, he said. We have been monitoring their communications since the battle. We have intercepted fragments of their transmissions. What we found is disturbing. The holographic display showed data streams and translated messages. The ship that destroyed our cruisers is not alone. It is a scout vessel, an advanced force designed to test our defenses and response times. His voice trembled. The humans have a fleet, counselors, a real fleet. They have been building it in secret for over 200 years. Counselor stood up from his seat. His face was dark with anger. How large is this fleet? We do not know exactly, but based on their communications, we estimate they have at least 1,000 warships, possibly more. 1,000 ships was nothing compared to numbers. The Empire had millions of vessels spread across the galaxy, but was not finished. The 3 cruisers we lost were destroyed in 47 seconds. Our shields did nothing. Our weapons never fired. If their entire fleet possesses similar technology. He did not need to finish the sentence. The council understood. Numbers did not matter if your enemy could kill you before you could fight back. Counselor made his decision. We will mobilize the 2nd and 7th fleets immediately. We will crush these humans at Nexus 7. We will capture their ship and learn their secrets. Then we will find their home world and burn it to ashes. He looked around the chamber at his fellow council members. This is not a discussion. This is an order. The Empire does not negotiate with lesser species. We do not show mercy. We do not show weakness. We show only power. The other counselors nodded in agreement. The decision was made. 10,000 ships began their journey toward Nexus 7. On the Hammer of Dawn, sensors detected the enemy fleet leaving space, reported the numbers to Captain. 10,412 ships, Captain. They will arrive in approximately 20 hours. Absorbed the information calmly. He looked at his crew, 47 humans against more than 10,000 warships. The numbers were impossible. The situation was hopeless. But none of them showed fear. They had trained for this. They had been chosen for this. They would hold their ground until reinforcements arrived, or they would die trying. All hands prepare for extended combat operations, announced. We knew this day would come. We knew the cost might be high. But remember why we are here. We fight for Earth. We fight for every human who ever lived and every human who will ever live. We fight for our right to exist. He paused, looking at each face on his bridge. They think we are insects to be crushed. Let us show them what insects can do when they fight back. 18 hours until help arrived, 20 hours until the enemy fleet. The margin was thin. The stakes were everything. The war had truly begun. Deep beneath the surface of Mars, humanity's greatest secret waited in darkness. The hangars stretched for hundreds of kilometers. They had been carved from ancient Martian rock over the course of 2 centuries. Millions of workers had lived and died building them. Their existence was known to less than 1,000 people on Earth. Inside these massive caverns sat the true power of humanity. Not the civilian transports that traveled between Earth colonies, not the mining vessels that harvested asteroids. These were warships, real warships built for one purpose only: to fight. Fleet Admiral walked through the main hangar of Section 7. He was a compact man with sharp eyes and a face that rarely smiled. He had commanded naval forces for 40 years. He had never lost a battle. He had never backed down from a fight. Today would be his greatest test. Around him, crews rushed to prepare their vessels for launch. Engineers ran final checks on weapon systems. Pilots climbed into their fighters. Supplies were loaded into cargo holds. The organized chaos of war preparation filled the air. His flagship waited at the center of the hangar. The Soul's Vengeance was humanity's first true dreadnought. It measured 3 kilometers long. Its hull was covered with weapons that could crack planets. It carried a crew of 8,000 and enough firepower to level civilizations. Commander met him at the boarding ramp. She was his tactical officer and one of the most brilliant military minds humanity had produced. Her hair was pulled back in a tight braid. Her uniform was spotless despite the rush. All ships report ready for deployment, Admiral. 47 battleships, 200 cruisers, 800 frigates. Total combat personnel exceeds 200,000. Nodded as they walked up the ramp. Ammunition and supplies. Fully stocked, we can sustain combat operations for 6 months without resupply. Medical facilities. Each capital ship has full hospital capabilities. Transport ships with additional medical staff will follow the main fleet at a safe distance. They entered the bridge of the Soul's Vengeance. It was a vast circular room filled with holographic displays and control stations. Officers moved with practiced efficiency, running through pre-launch checklists. Took his position at the central command platform. From here, he could see everything. He could control everything. "Show me our enemy," he ordered. A massive holographic display appeared before him. It showed the Nexus 7 sector. The Hammer of Dawn was a small blue dot, alone and vulnerable. Moving toward it was a wall of red markers. The fleet. 10,412 ships, reported. Mix of battleships, cruisers, and support vessels. Estimated combat capability, overwhelming. Studied the display. He saw the enemy numbers. He saw his own fleet's position. He calculated distances and travel times in his head. "Overwhelming against any fleet in the galaxy," he said quietly, "but not against us." He turned to address his bridge crew. These were the finest officers humanity had trained. They had spent their lives preparing for this moment. "In a few hours, we will engage the largest enemy force any human has ever faced. They have ruled the galaxy for 12,000 years. They believe they are invincible. They believe we are insects to be crushed." He paused, letting his words sink in. "They are wrong. We have spent 4,000 years studying them. We know their tactics. We know their weaknesses. We know exactly how they will fight, and we have built our ships and trained our people to defeat them." His voice grew stronger. "They build ships for intimidation. Massive vessels designed to frighten their enemies into surrender. Their shields are strong but slow to adapt. Their weapons are powerful but predictable. Their tactics have not changed because they never needed to change." He gestured to the holographic display. "We build ships for war. Our vessels are smaller but faster. Our weapons bypass their shields completely. Our tactics are fluid and unpredictable. One of our ships destroyed 3 of theirs in 47 seconds. Imagine what 1,000 of our ships can do." The bridge crew straightened with pride and determination. Activated the fleet-wide communication channel. His voice would be heard on every ship in the hidden fleet. Every soldier, every pilot, every engineer would hear his words. "This is Fleet Admiral to all vessels. The moment we have prepared for our entire lives has arrived. In a few hours, we launch to Nexus 7. We go to support the Hammer of Dawn and engage the 2nd and 7th fleets." He could imagine the tension on every ship, the fear and excitement mixing together. "I will not lie to you. The enemy outnumbers us 10 to 1. By any normal calculation we should lose, but we are not normal. We are human. Our ancestors survived ice ages and plagues. They crossed oceans in wooden boats. They walked on the moon. They refused to die when the universe tried to kill them." His voice rose with passion. "Today, we show the galaxy what humanity can do. Today, we teach that numbers mean nothing against courage and intelligence. Today, we fight not just for ourselves, but for every species they have conquered and enslaved. We fight for freedom." He gave the order. "All ships initiate launch sequence. We jump in 30 minutes." The hangars beneath Mars came alive with activity. Engines powered up. Navigation computers plotted courses. Weapons systems armed and ready. On the Hammer of Dawn, Captain received confirmation that help was coming. He shared the news with his exhausted crew. They had been at battle stations for hours, waiting for an attack that could come at any moment. "The fleet launches in 30 minutes, he announced. "They will arrive before the—" Allowed herself a small smile. "I was starting to worry we would face 10,000 ships alone." "We would have fought them anyway," replied, "but I prefer better odds." 18 hours passed slowly. The crew of the Hammer of Dawn took turns resting. They ate military rations and checked their equipment. They wrote messages to family members just in case. Some prayed. Some simply sat in silence, thinking about what was to come. Then the moment arrived. Space around the Hammer of Dawn rippled and tore. Points of light appeared, growing brighter and brighter. The fabric of reality itself seemed to bend and twist. Ships emerged from faster-than-light travel. First one, then 10, then 100. They poured out of the dimensional tunnels like water from a broken dam. Battleships, cruisers, frigates, and support vessels. The hidden fleet of humanity revealed itself to the universe. His voice cracked with emotion as he reported, 1,047 human vessels have arrived. The Soul's vengeance is hailing us. Captain opened the channel. Admiral's face appeared on screen. Captain, I hear you started a war while we were sleeping. Despite everything, smiled. Someone had to wake up the galaxy, Admiral. Nodded, the fleet will arrive in 2 hours. We have time to prepare. I am transmitting tactical plans now. Study them carefully. The screen filled with battle formations and attack patterns. Humanity's first real space battle was about to begin. On Nexus 7, the alien inhabitants watched in shock. 1,000 human warships filled their sensors. Just hours ago, they had laughed at the single small vessel that dared to challenge the. Now they understood. Humanity had not sent one ship to scout. Humanity had sent one ship to announce. The real force had always been waiting. Across the trading station, aliens of many species whispered to each other. Some had lived under rule for generations. They had given up hope of ever being free. But now, watching the human fleet take position, they felt something they had almost forgotten. Hope. The 2nd and 7th fleets entered the Nexus 7 sector 2 hours later. Fleet Commander stood on the bridge of his flagship, confident in his superior numbers. He had crushed rebellions before. He had destroyed entire civilizations. This would be no different. Then his sensors showed him the human fleet. Impossible, he whispered. Where did they all come from? His tactical officer reported with a trembling voice. Over 1,000 enemy vessels, Commander. They are taking defensive positions around Nexus 7. Stared at the display. 1,000 ships should not concern him. He had 10,000. But he remembered the reports from the first battle. 3 cruisers destroyed in 47 seconds. He pushed the fear aside. The did not retreat, the did not hesitate, the conquered. All ships attack formation. We will sweep these humans from existence. 10,000 ships moved forward. 1,000 ships waited. The Battle of Nexus 7 was about to begin. The 2 fleets faced each other across the darkness of space. 10,000 warships in perfect geometric formation. 1,000 human vessels spread in a loose, seemingly random pattern. Fleet Commander looked at the enemy positions and felt confusion. Human ships were scattered without any apparent order. Some were alone. Others were in small groups. Their formation made no tactical sense. He assumed they were simply inexperienced. Primitive species often made basic mistakes in their first real battles. They had perfected fleet combat over 12,000 years. They knew exactly how to fight, how to concentrate firepower, how to overwhelm defenders with superior numbers. All ships execute standard attack pattern, ordered. Focus fire on their largest vessels first. Destroy their command ships and the rest will scatter. The fleet moved forward as one. Shields overlapped in a wall of protective energy. Weapons charged and targeted the biggest human ships they could find. On the bridge of the Soul's Vengeance, Admiral watched the enemy approach. His face showed no concern. Beside him, Commander counted down the distance. Enemy fleet at maximum weapons range in 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 10 seconds. The opened fire. Thousands of energy beams and missiles streaked across space toward the human fleet. The barrage was massive. It should have been devastating. Any normal fleet would have been torn apart by such firepower. The human ships simply moved. They did not move like normal ships. They vanished from one position and appeared in another. Micro-jumps through faster-than-light space, covering thousands of kilometers in the blink of an eye. The weapons hit nothing but empty space. Stared at his tactical display in disbelief. Where did they go? Before anyone could answer, the human fleet attacked. They appeared everywhere at once. Behind the formation, between their ships, inside their carefully planned defensive lines, human vessels materialized from nothing and opened fire immediately. The weapons they used were unlike anything they had faced. Beams of focused energy that passed through shields like they did not exist. Missiles that changed direction mid-flight, seeking weak points in enemy armor. Projectiles moving so fast that point defense systems could not track them. Captain led the vanguard aboard the Hammer of Dawn. His ship dove into the center of the enemy formation, firing in all directions. Called out targets and coordinated attacks with other human vessels. Enemy battleship at 2 o'clock, range 500 kilometers, reported. Fire main cannon, ordered. The Hammer of Dawn's primary weapon discharged. A beam of white light struck the battleship directly in its reactor section. The massive vessel, 3 kilometers long and carrying 10,000 crew, exploded in a ball of fire. All around them, similar scenes played out. Human ships appeared, fired, and vanished before they could respond. The careful formations that had won 1,000 battles for the Empire crumbled into chaos. Commander reported the battle progress to Admiral. Enemy losses at 400 ships, 500, 700. They cannot adapt to our tactics. Watched the display with grim satisfaction. They have fought the same way for 12,000 years. They do not know how to do anything else. The commanders tried to regroup. They ordered their ships to spread out to reduce the concentration of targets, but spreading out only made each ship more vulnerable. Human vessels hunted them down one by one. Fleet commander screamed orders at his bridge crew. His flagship shook as human weapons struck its hull. Warning lights flashed everywhere. Reports of losses flooded in from across his fleet. "We have lost 2,000 ships," his tactical officer reported, voice filled with terror. 3,000. The enemy has lost only 40. Could not understand what was happening. The humans were ghosts. They appeared and disappeared at will. Their weapons ignored shields completely. Every tactic he tried failed. "Fall back," he finally ordered. "All ships retreat to minimum jump distance." But retreating was not so simple. Human ships blocked escape routes. They predicted where vessels would run and waited there. The organized withdrawal became a desperate flight for survival. On the Hammer of Dawn noticed something troubling. "Captain, our ammunition is running low. We have enough for maybe 30 more minutes of sustained combat." Nodded. They had expected this. Human weapons were powerful but consumed resources quickly. They needed to end this battle soon. He opened a channel to Admiral. "Admiral, we should push for a decisive strike now. Hit their command ships hard and break their organization completely." Agreed. He broadcast new orders to the fleet. "All vessels converge on enemy command section. Priority targets are the fleet commander's flagship and support ships. Break their leadership and the rest will crumble." The human fleet shifted like a school of fish changing direction. One moment they were scattered across the battlefield. The next moment they were all moving toward the same point. Saw them coming. He saw 1,000 human ships converging on his position. He ordered his personal guard ships to form a protective wall. 20 of the largest battleships in his fleet surrounded his flagship. It made no difference. Admiral spoke calmly. "Soul's Vengeance fire main battery." The dreadnought's primary weapons activated. These were not the standard energy beams used by other ships. These were planet crackers, weapons designed to punch holes in worlds. A single shot struck flagship. The vessel did not explode. It simply came apart. The beam passed through the ship from bow to stern, vaporizing everything in its path. When the light faded, only debris remained. With their commander dead, the fleet lost all organization. Ships fled in every direction. Some tried to jump to faster-than-light speed and escaped. Others were caught before they could run. Many surrendered, dropping their shields and broadcasting distress signals. 6 hours after it began, the Battle of Nexus 7 ended. Captain stood on the bridge of the Hammer of Dawn, looking out at the debris field. Thousands of destroyed ships floated in the darkness. Rescue shuttles moved between them, looking for survivors. Read the final report. Enemy losses: 4,211 ships destroyed, 816 captured, the remainder escaped. Our losses: 23 ships destroyed, 41 damaged. 23 ships lost, thousands of human lives gone, felt the weight of each death. They had won, but victory was never free. Admiral contacted him shortly after. The Admiral looked tired but satisfied. Your ship started all of this, Captain. Your crew fired the first shots. How does it feel? Thought about the question. It feels like the beginning, Admiral, not the end. You are right. His expression grew serious. They lost a battle today. They have not lost the war. They have millions more ships. When they recover from this shock, they will come for us with everything they have. I know, looked at his crew. They were exhausted but proud. We will be ready. On Nexus 7, the alien inhabitants watched the aftermath of the battle. They had seen the impossible happen. A species they had never heard of had faced the mighty Empire and won. In bars and markets and homes across the station, they talked in excited whispers. Some began to think thoughts they had never dared to think before. If the humans could defeat maybe others could too. Maybe the Empire was not as invincible as everyone believed. The spark of rebellion began to spread. Far away on the capital world, the High Council received news of the disaster. Counselor listened to the casualty reports with a face like stone. 4,000 ships lost, fleet commander dead. The 2nd and 7th fleets effectively destroyed. Intelligence Director delivered his assessment. The humans use tactics we have never seen before. Their weapons bypass our shield technology completely. Our current military doctrine is ineffective against them. Stood up slowly. He walked to the piece of the dead world that sat in the council chamber. He touched its rough surface, remembering the species it came from. They had resisted too. They had been destroyed. Then we will change our doctrine, he said quietly. We will study their tactics. We will develop new shields. We will build new weapons. He turned to face the other council members. And we will mobilize every ship in the Empire, not 10,000, not 100,000, every single ship we have. His voice rose with cold fury. These humans want a war. We will give them a war they cannot imagine. We will darken the skies of their world with our fleets. We will burn their planet to ash and scatter the ashes across the void. We will make them wish they had never left their miserable little world. The council members nodded in agreement. The next phase of the war was about to begin. News of the Battle of Nexus 7 spread across the galaxy like fire through dry grass. Every planet with a communication array heard the story. Every species under rule learned what had happened. A new species called humans had appeared. They had faced the mighty fleets and won. They had destroyed over 4,000 warships while losing only 23 of their own. The empire that had seemed invincible for 12,000 years had been beaten. For the conquered peoples of the galaxy, this news was like water in a desert. On the prison world of 9, a woman named heard the broadcasts in the depths of the mines. She was human, one of thousands captured during raids on Earth's outer colonies 20 years ago. She had been a teenager then. Now she was a resistance leader. The mines of 9 stretched deep into the planet's crust. Prisoners from dozens of species worked there, extracting rare metals for the Empire. They lived in darkness, ate terrible food, and died young. The guards treated them like animals, but had never stopped fighting. Over 20 years, she had built a network of resistance cells throughout the prison complex. Humans, aliens, anyone willing to risk their lives for freedom. They stole supplies, sabotaged equipment, and waited for the right moment to strike. That moment had arrived. Gathered her closest allies in a hidden chamber carved from the rock. The group included humans like herself and aliens from species she had never known before coming to this terrible place. A tall, thin being called with 4 arms and silver skin. A small creature named who could see in complete darkness. Others whose names and bodies were strange but whose desire for freedom was the same as hers. The fleet has come, told them. Our people have come. Earth remembers us. They have not forgotten the colonies they destroyed. They have not forgotten the prisoners they took. Spoke with a voice like rustling leaves. What do you propose? The guards still outnumber us. They still have weapons. Smiled. It was not a kind smile. The guards are afraid. They have heard the same news we have. They know their empire just lost 4,000 ships. They are watching the stars and wondering if humans will come here next. She pulled out a stolen communication device. And I'm going to make sure they keep wondering. Had spent years building secret transmitters throughout the mine. Now she activated them all at once. A message broadcast to every screen and speaker in the complex. Attention all prisoners and guards of 9. This is of Earth. The human fleet has arrived in space. They have destroyed the 2nd and 7th fleets. They are coming for every world the Empire controls, including this one. She paused, letting the words sink in. To my fellow prisoners, the time for waiting is over. Rise up, fight back, take control of this facility. The guards cannot stop all of us. The message continued. To the guards, you have a choice. Surrender now and be treated fairly when liberation comes. Fight and face the same fate as fleet commander. Choose wisely. Chaos erupted across the mining complex. Prisoners who had been broken for years suddenly found their courage. They attacked guards with tools and bare hands. Some died in the first moments, but others succeeded. Guard stations were overrun. Weapons were captured. The rebellion spread like wildfire. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. On slave worlds and conquered planets, species that had accepted rule for generations began to resist. The news from Nexus 7 had broken something in the Empire's control. The fear that had kept everyone obedient was cracking. On the capital world, Counselor received reports of uprisings on 40 different planets. Trade routes were being disrupted. Mining operations were being sabotaged. The carefully maintained order of the Empire was falling apart. Intelligence Director stood before the Council with more bad news. The humans are using the chaos to their advantage. Their fleet has not attacked since Nexus 7, but they are broadcasting messages constantly. They promise freedom to any species that joins them. They promise protection. They promise revenge against the. Counselor slammed his fist on the table. Then we will silence them. We will crush these rebellions and show the galaxy what happens to those who resist. That will require significant military resources, replied carefully. Resources we need to fight the humans. Stood and walked to the window of the council chamber. Outside, the capital city stretched to the horizon. Billions of lived here in comfort and safety. They had no idea how fragile their world was. How long until the full mobilization is complete? He asked. 3 months. We are pulling ships from every sector. The final fleet will number over 2 million vessels. 2 million ships, the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history, enough firepower to burn 1,000 worlds, felt confidence returning. The humans have perhaps 1,000 ships, maybe 2,000 if they have been hiding more. We will crush them with pure numbers. Their clever tactics will mean nothing against 2 million warships. He turned back to face the council. I want the humans' home world found. Send scouts, probe their defenses. When our fleet is ready, we will jump directly to their system and end this war in a single battle. While they planned their massive offensive, Captain and Admiral were planning as well. The human fleet had withdrawn to a hidden position between star systems. Engineers repaired damaged ships. Ammunition was redistributed. Crews rested for the first time in weeks. Met with aboard the Soul's Vengeance. Accompanied him, as always. They gathered in the Admiral's private quarters around a holographic display of the galaxy. Intelligence reports they are mobilizing everything, said. Our estimates suggest they will have over 2 million ships within 3 months. His face went pale. 2 million, we have just over 1,000. We knew this was possible, replied. They have ruled the galaxy for 12,000 years. They have had time to build an almost infinite military. Nodded. We cannot win a direct confrontation against those numbers. Even with our superior technology, we would be overwhelmed. Then we do not fight directly, said. We fight smart. He gestured at the holographic map. They are pulling ships from everywhere. That means they are leaving their other territories undefended. It means the rebellions we are seeing will grow stronger. He pointed to several star systems. We encourage those rebellions. We provide support where we can. We make the Empire fight on 100 fronts at once instead of focusing all their strength on us. Considered this. A war of attrition, bleed them slowly instead of meeting them head-on. Exactly, and while they are distracted, we continue building our own fleet. Earth's shipyards are working at maximum capacity. Every month we add more ships. Every month the gap closes. Spoke up, but they will still come for Earth eventually. 2 million ships. Even if we cut that number in half through attrition, 1 million ships is still too many. Smiled. It was the smile of a man with a secret. They think they know everything about us. They think they understand our technology and our tactics, but we have been preparing for this for 4,000 years. We have weapons they have never seen, defenses they cannot imagine. He looked at Admiral. When they come for Earth, we will be ready. And we will teach them that humans are not just clever, we are impossible to kill. Far away on 9, stood in the main control center of the mining complex. The rebellion had succeeded. The guards had been defeated or had surrendered. For the first time in 20 years, she was free. Stood beside her, looking at communication displays showing similar victories across the planet. What now? The alien asked. They will send forces to retake this world. Activated the long-range transmitter. She broadcast a message toward the last known position of the human fleet. This is of 9 to any human vessel. The prison complex is under rebel control. We have freed over 50,000 prisoners of multiple species. We request support and extraction. We are ready to fight. She paused, then added, Tell Earth that we never gave up hope. Tell them we are still human. And tell them we want to come home. Somewhere in the darkness between stars, the message reached the hammer of dawn. Reported to Captain with emotion in his voice. Captain, we are receiving a transmission from a human named. She says she has liberated a prison world. And exchanged looks. Acknowledge the message, ordered. Tell her help is on the way. The war was spreading, the galaxy was watching, and humanity was just getting started.